My name is Sylvia Caraway. I'm 29 years old, and 8 months ago, I thought I was the luckiest woman alive. I was engaged to Dave, 27, my boyfriend of 4 years. I believed I knew him inside and out. But the moment that engagement ring slipped on his finger, it was as if something inside him shifted like a switch I never knew existed flipped on. At first, it was subtle. Dave started making comparisons how his friends' fiancés had partners who planned elaborate date nights, bought expensive gifts, booked surprise trips. He'd say things like, "Babe, don't you want us to be like them?" with a smile that masked the sharpness behind the words. I worked in IT support. My salary wasn't glamorous, but it was stable. Money had never been an issue between us until suddenly it was. Dave's expectations began to balloon. The wedding he wanted grew larger by the week. First a modest ceremony, then a luxury venue, then a guest list pushing over 200 people. He demanded a designer tuxedo, extravagant flowers, a live band flown in from another state. We were staring at a $40,000 minimum price tag, and that was just the start. Meanwhile, I was working overtime, my back screaming from a recent work injury. I was drained, but every time I hinted at pulling back, Dave brushed it off. He wanted what he wanted, and I was expected to deliver. Worse, he started going out more guys' nights that stretched until 3 a.m. New clothes would appear, sometimes more expensive than our monthly grocery budget. When I raised the topic, he scoffed. "I'm taken now, but that doesn't mean I should let myself go. You want me to look good for us, don't you?" I told myself I was imagining things, that the stress of wedding planning was making him act out. But last Friday shattered whatever illusions I had left. I had just finished a 12-hour shift filling in for a sick colleague. I came home aching, hoping for a quiet night. Instead, I found Dave standing in our living room, dressed in a sharp designer suit I'd never seen before. His hair styled, his watch glinting. "Going somewhere?" I asked, confused. He barely looked up. "Cassidy's birthday dinner. Told you yesterday." My stomach sank. "You didn't tell me anything. I would have remembered." He shrugged, dismissive. "Not my fault you don't listen. Anyway, I need $200 for my share of the gift and dinner." I blinked, stunned. "Dave, we just paid the venue deposit. We're tight until my next paycheck." That's when it happened. He looked me dead in the eye, smirked, and said words that sliced through me like glass. "God, you're pathetic. Do you know how many women would kill to be with me? You should be grateful I'm still here instead of with someone who can actually provide." I froze. 4 years together. 2 living under the same roof, and this was what he thought of me. Something inside me went still like the calm before a storm. I took a breath and whispered, "You're right, let me fix that." His face lit up. He thought I was finally giving in. "Finally. So you'll give me the money?" "No." My voice was steady, colder than even I expected. "I meant I'll fix you still being here." He frowned as I walked past him into our home office. I'd been preparing for weeks somewhere deep down, knowing this moment might come. I printed out documents. I'd been compiling bank statements proving I paid nearly 80% of our expenses receipts for the engagement ring, 3 months of my salary. A spreadsheet of wedding costs I'd already shouldered alone. I pulled out a form for the venue cancellation, filled but unsigned. And finally, my grandmother's ring, the one I had wanted to give him before he insisted on a diamond. I laid everything on the dining table in a neat, brutal arrangement, a silent testimony of my worth, my effort, my exhaustion. I grabbed my keys. "I'm staying with Isabella tonight. We'll talk tomorrow." He gaped. "You're seriously leaving because I asked for money?" "Real mature, Sylvia." I didn't answer. My phone started buzzing before I even reached the car, missed calls, texts, all demanding to know if I was serious. But I kept driving, my hands tight on the wheel, my chest heaving with something halfway between grief and liberation. When Isabella opened the door, she didn't need me to say a word. She took one look at my face, stepped aside, and quietly went to the kitchen. Moments later, she returned with 2 glasses of wine. I finally let myself collapse into her arms. Her voice was low, but certain. "He finally showed you, didn't he?" Tears burned in my eyes. "How did you know?" She gave a bitter laugh. "Sylvia, he complained about your engagement ring at your own party. We all knew. You were just the last to see it." For the first time in years, I let myself cry. Not because I lost Dave, but because I finally understood how little I ever truly had. And somewhere deep inside, I knew this was only the beginning. The next morning, I woke to the sound of pounding on Isabella's front door. At first, I thought I was dreaming, but then came the voice, loud, desperate, unmistakable. Sylvia opened the door. "We need to talk." My stomach dropped. "Dave." Isabella appeared in the hallway in her pajamas, her arms crossed. "Want me to tell him to get lost?" I shook my head. "No, I'll face him." My voice was steadier than I felt. When I opened the door, Dave stood there disheveled and hollow-eyed. His suit from last night was wrinkled, his tie loose, his hair a mess. He looked like he hadn't slept. "Sylvia, thank God, we can't do this. You can't just leave me over one fight." He stepped forward, but Isabella moved to block him. "5 minutes," she said firmly. "Kitchen. Then you're gone." Dave slumped into a chair, head in his hands. "You can't just throw away 4 years. What will people think?" "My mom already knows. I told her you're panicking." My chest tightened. "Your main concern is what people will think, not what you said to me." He raised his head, eyes glistening. "I was emotional. You know I didn't mean it. I felt the sting of betrayal all over again." "Which part didn't you mean, Dave? That I'm pathetic, that I should be grateful you're still here, or that you could do better?" "You're twisting my words." His voice cracked, but I noticed how the tears only came when he looked at me, not when he thought no one was watching. Isabella scoffed. "Strategic tears. Classic." Dave turned on her. "Stay out of this." She leaned against the counter, unbothered. "This is my house. If you don't like it, leave." Dave's face crumpled again, and he reached for my hand. "Baby, please. You can't do this. We have a wedding planned. A tuxedo ordered. Invitations going out. My cousin already booked flights. You'll ruin everything." I pulled my hand back. "There is no wedding, Dave. Not anymore." He slammed his fist on the table. "This is about money, isn't it?" "Fine. I'll contribute more." "Happy." I laughed bitterly. "You'll contribute more. Now." "After months of me draining myself while you partied and bought new clothes." Dave's eyes hardened. The tears vanished like they'd never existed. He pulled out his phone. "If you won't listen, I'll call your mom. She'll set you straight." "Go ahead." My voice was flat. "She never liked you anyway." His jaw clenched, but he dialed. He put the call on speaker, smug, as if he'd already won. "Hello," my mother's groggy voice came through the phone. "Dave, it's 8 a.m. on a Saturday. Mrs. Carraway, it's Sylvia. She's having a breakdown. She called off the wedding." Silence. Then my mother sighed. "Good. About time." Dave blinked. "What?" "Dave, she deserves better than someone who tells her she should be grateful you haven't left. Lose my number." The call disconnected. Isabella burst out laughing. I just stared at Dave, stunned at how quickly his mask cracked. His lips trembled, but before he could recover, he started rapid fire, calling his sister, his best friend, anyone who would pick up. He put them all on speaker, desperate to build an army. His sister Vanessa answered, confused. "Dave, what's going on?" Sylvia's hysterical. I cut in. "Vanessa asked him what he said to me last night." Dave shot me a warning look. "I just asked for some money for a gift. That's it." I folded my arms. "That's all you remember. You don't remember telling me I should be grateful you're still here, that you could do better." There was a pause. Then Vanessa's voice sharpened. "You said what?" Dave fumbled. "That's not what I—" The line went dead. He had hung up on his own sister. For a moment, the kitchen was silent. Then Isabella muttered, "Wow. Even Vanessa's calling you out. That's gotta sting." Dave's mask shattered completely. His face twisted and his voice dropped to a growl. "If you won't talk to me, Sylvia, I'll make sure everyone knows how cruel you are. You'll regret this." I held his gaze, my heart hammering, but I didn't flinch. "No, Dave. The only thing I regret is wasting 4 years on someone who thought I should be grateful for the privilege." His chair scraped back violently as he stood. Without another word, he stormed out the door, slamming behind him. Isabella exhaled slowly. That was intense. I sank into the chair he'd just vacated, my hands trembling. It's only going to get worse. I know it. And I was right. I thought Dave would cool off after storming out of Isabella's house. I thought maybe, just maybe, he'd reflect. But I should have known better. By Monday, he'd gone nuclear. I woke up to dozens of notifications on my phone. Dave had taken our engagement photos, the ones where I was smiling like a fool, clinging to his arm, and plastered them across social media with captions like, "Some women can't handle a strong man who knows his worth. Dodged a bullet. Imagine marrying someone who gives up at the first challenge." His friends piled on in the comments, echoing his narrative. "Sylvia always seemed ungrateful. He deserves better anyway. Told you she was too uptight." Each word hit like a blade, but I forced myself to stay calm. I knew Dave's greatest weapon wasn't love, it was manipulation. He wanted to control the story, paint himself as the victim, and turn me into the villain. Isabella paced the kitchen, her phone in hand. "You can't let this slide, Sylvia. He's rewriting history in real time." I nodded, my chest tight. "Then I'll give everyone the truth." I opened my laptop and drafted my own post. My fingers shook, but my words were steady. Since we're sharing, here's what my ex-fiancé meant by knowing his worth. He told me I should be grateful he stayed with someone as pathetic as me. He's right about one thing I should be grateful. Grateful I saw the truth before wasting any more years. Then I attached the spreadsheet I'd compiled. Rent and utilities showing I'd paid nearly 80% of our living costs. Receipts for the engagement ring, 3 months of my salary. Wedding expenses I'd already covered alone. The cancellation form filled and ready. And at the bottom, a note in my handwriting. You're right, Dave. You deserve someone who can provide better. I'm setting you free to find them. I hit post. Within an hour, the tide shifted. His friends, once so quick to mock me, went silent. Strangers who had defended him turned on him instead. Comments flooded in. She paid for everything. He was using her. Classic freeloading narcissist. Dave's carefully crafted facade crumbled before my eyes. But he wasn't done. That afternoon, my office called me. Sylvia, there's someone in the lobby asking for you. When I checked the security cameras, I froze. Dave was there holding a massive cardboard sign with our photos glued across it. In big sloppy letters it read, Sylvia, I'm sorry, take me back. People gathered whispering. My boss frowned. Do you want me to let him up? I stared at the screen, my jaw set. No, I don't know that man. Security escorted him out. He dropped the sign in the trash, his sobs echoing in the lobby. The next day it escalated again. Dave showed up at the boutique where I'd ordered my bridesmaid dress, demanding they release his fiancé's gown. The shop called me confused. Sylvia, your fiancé is here. He's trying to pick up your dress, but the card was declined. He says you're obligated to pay since you proposed. I laughed bitterly. First, not my fiancé. Second, the card was canceled weeks ago. And third, I'm obligated to nothing. Tell him that. In the background, I heard his voice rising, his tone frantic. She owes me. She can't just walk away. The clerk sighed. We'll handle it. Then she hung up. That night, I lay in Isabella's guest room staring at the ceiling. Each escalation, each attempt to humiliate me, each stunt, it all blended into a pattern. Dave wasn't fighting for me. He was fighting to maintain control, to keep the image he'd built of himself. Isabella appeared in the doorway with 2 cups of tea. You okay? I shook my head. He doesn't love me, Isa. He just hates that he can't use me anymore. She set the cup on the nightstand and squeezed my hand. Good. Then keep reminding yourself of that, because this storm isn't over yet. And she was right. Dave wasn't finished, not by a long shot. By the following week, Dave's desperation had reached a new level. The first warning came when a police officer knocked on Isabella's door. I opened it, my heart lurching. Ma'am, we received a complaint, the officer said. A man named Dave Alvarez claims you stole his belongings. For a moment, I just stared at him dumbfounded. Then I laughed bitterly. Stole his belongings are boxed up in a storage unit. He hasn't paid a dime toward rent in 2 years. I have receipts. I pulled out the file I'd been keeping the lease with. Only my name on it. Utility bills, bank statements, text messages where Dave admitted he couldn't cover his half. The officer flipped through the papers, nodding slowly. This looks like a civil matter, not criminal. He'll have to go through court if he wants to pursue it. Translation, Isabella muttered behind me. He doesn't have a case. The officer gave me a sympathetic look and left. But I knew Dave wouldn't let it go. 2 days later, my phone buzzed with messages from friends. Screenshots. My face, my photos splashed across a dating profile I never made. The bio made my skin crawl. Looking for a man who knows his place. I expect to be spoiled. Don't waste my time if you're broke. I slammed my phone down. My hands shaking. Isabella caught the look on my face. What now? He made a fake profile. He's pretending to be me. Her jaw tightened. That's not just pathetic. That's dangerous. I called my lawyer immediately. A cease and desist letter went out the same day. The profile was taken down within 24 hours, but the damage was done. I had to reach out to my actual dating profiles to explain to untangle the mess. Dave had smeared my name yet again, leaving me to clean up the pieces. I was exhausted, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. I started therapy. The counselor listened quietly as I unraveled everything from Dave's subtle digs about my worth to the outright gaslighting and manipulation. You've been trained to accept crumbs, she told me gently, while being told they're a feast. That's not love, Sylvia. That's control. Her words hit me like a revelation I should have seen all along. But Dave wasn't finished. One night around 11 p.m., there was another knock on the door, this time softer, almost pitiful. I hesitated before peeking through the peephole. Dave stood there, no suit, no designer clothes, Just pajamas, his hair messy, his eyes swollen from crying. He looked broken. "Sylvia," he whispered, his voice trembling. "Please, I just need 5 minutes." I didn't open the door. "Talk through it." He pressed his forehead to the wood, his voice muffled. "I know I messed up. I've started therapy. I'm trying. You're the best thing I ever had. Don't you miss us at all?" 4 years, Sylvia. Doesn't that mean anything? My chest ached, but I stayed firm. It means I wasted 4 years on someone who thought I should be grateful for being tolerated. He slid down the door, sobbing. "I loved you." "No, Dave," I whispered. "You loved what I did for you. That's different." He was silent for a long moment, then asked, almost childlike, "What can I do? How do I fix this?" I didn't hesitate. "Pay me back. $8,400 in unpaid rent. Plus the wedding deposits, I lost $11,600 total. Cash or certified check." Silence. Then a hollow laugh. "You know I don't have that." "Then we have nothing to discuss." I walked away from the door, his sobs echoing in the hallway. Real tears this time, not the staged ones. But I didn't look back. 2 weeks later, just when I thought Dave couldn't sink any lower, the truth came from somewhere I didn't expect. Cassidy. The same Cassidy whose birthday Dave had claimed. He was attending the night of our fight. She messaged me out of the blue, her words hesitant, full of apology. "Sylvia, I just found out what really happened. I had no idea Dave used my birthday as an excuse. I never invited him. He told people he was coming, but he was actually meeting some guy from his gym. I'm so sorry you got dragged into his lies." My stomach twisted as I read her words. So the fight that ended everything, his request for $200 for a dinner gift, was built on a complete fabrication. He hadn't just insulted me. He'd made me fund his alibi. I thanked Cassidy, but she wasn't done. "There's more. I don't know if I should even tell you this, but he's been bragging to people, saying he was just settling with you until after the wedding. That once the ceremony and gifts were done, he planned to upgrade to someone else. I thought it was just him being cocky, but now I realize he was serious." My vision blurred. Even after everything, I hadn't expected that level of cold calculation. Cassidy sent me a screenshot, Dave laughing with his gym buddy in a group chat. "Once the ring and wedding are over, I can trade up. No one bails on a groom." I forwarded it straight to my lawyer. Evidence, proof, closure. But I didn't just sit in silence this time. Instead of a wedding, I threw a party, my Independence Day. The photographer I'd booked for the wedding came to capture the night, only this time the photos weren't staged smiles and stiff poses. They were genuine, my mother raising a glass. Isabella and her boyfriend dancing, my cousins laughing until they cried. When my mom gave her toast, her voice trembled with pride. To my daughter Sylvia, who found the strength to walk away from someone who tried to make her feel small. Tonight we don't mourn a wedding lost. We celebrate freedom gained. The entire room erupted in cheers. For the first time in years, I felt seen, truly seen. But of course, Dave tried to ruin it. Halfway through the night, security intercepted him outside the venue. He'd shown up in another desperate attempt to reclaim the narrative. "Let me in," he demanded, red-faced. "She owes me an explanation. She owes me everything." The guards held firm. One even filmed the scene on his phone. Within hours, the clip hit TikTok Dave screaming at a locked door, the muffled sound of music and laughter inside. The comments were merciless. "Imagine crashing your ex-party after telling her she should be grateful for you. This guy is the definition of entitlement." His humiliation was public, undeniable, and irreversible. And for me, it was the moment I finally felt free. 1 month later, the dust had finally settled. Dave had moved back in with his parents. Word spread quickly that the guy from the gym had ghosted him within 2 weeks, apparently. Once Dave's new fling realized he expected her to bankroll his lifestyle, she cut ties fast. His mask had slipped, and without me funding his fantasies, his charm evaporated. Meanwhile, I was breathing again. My apartment was peaceful. My bank account was slowly recovering. I no longer tiptoed around a man who sighed dramatically every time I wanted to watch a movie he didn't like or rolled his eyes when I bought groceries instead of another night out. For the first time in years, the silence in my home wasn't suffocating. It was freedom. Therapy helped me piece together the years of gaslighting I'd endured, the way Dave's little jabs about my looks, my job, my worth had slowly eroded my confidence. How every "you should be grateful" had trained me to accept crumbs. I wasn't broken. I had just been conditioned to doubt myself. Not anymore. The wedding money. I didn't lose, I used it for something better. A trip I'd always dreamed of, but never thought I could afford. Europe first class. While Dave sulked in his parents' basement, I sipped espresso in Paris cafes, wandered through cobblestone streets in Rome, and stood on cliffs in Santorini with the wind in my hair. And I realized I had built this life, me, not him. When I returned, Isabella's boyfriend proposed to her. He used my grandmother's ring, the ring I had once wanted to give Dave, but he had dismissed as not good enough. I slipped it into Isabella's hand, my eyes stinging with tears. At least now it will go to someone who understands what love actually means. She hugged me so tightly I thought I'd break. You deserve this too, Sylvia, don't forget that. That night I sat alone on my balcony, a glass of wine in hand, watching the city lights flicker. For the first time I didn't feel lonely. I felt whole. Dave had told me I should be grateful he stayed, but what he never understood was that his words unlocked something in me. Because the truth is, I am grateful. Grateful I saw his true colors before it was too late. Grateful I learned the difference between being loved and being used. Grateful that when he left, I finally found myself. The dining table moment, the papers, the receipts, the ring still lingers in my mind. Not because I enjoyed his shock, but because it was the exact moment I knew my worth. And I knew I was worth so much more than being someone's backup plan. The wedding would have been next month. Instead, I'm planning another trip this time just because I can. Funny thing about someone telling you that you should be grateful, they're